Samson is the biblical Hercules, a man of superhuman strength who nonetheless could not escape tragedy. He's a judge of the Israelites, but can hardly be accounted as an ideal role model or as a leader. I-24 News' Maya Margit expands on his story.
A story of strength, seduction, and betrayal. In the book of Judges in the Old Testament, the tale of Samson and Delilah truly stands out. From birth, Samson was destined for greatness. An angel told his father and mother that he would deliver the Israelites from the Philistines. Because of this, Samson took on the sacred vow of the Nazarites and was forbidden from shaving or cutting his hair.
Samson, who alone and unafraid challenged and defeated the most dreaded army of his time.
But it was his immense strength that made him a legend. In one biblical account, Samson fought a lion and managed to tear it apart. Throughout the book of Judges, he slays hundreds of Philistines, until he meets a beautiful woman named Delilah in the valley of Sorek. Their ill-fated love would bring about his downfall. After she discovers the secret to his superhuman strength, Delilah cuts Samson's hair and betrays him to his enemies. The Philistines gouge out his eyes and imprison him in Gaza, turning him into a slave. But Samson would have the last word. In a final show of strength, he tears down the pillars of a Philistine temple, killing both himself and all his surrounding enemies. In European painting, the Delilah motif appears throughout the centuries. Samson and Delilah also pop up in film, operas, and literature. Strong as a god, but with a human heart, Samson continues to tower over other biblical figures.
And from Samson the Great to Maya the Great. Hi. Maya, Samson's strength is derived from his uncut hair.
That's
and
right.
when we think about it, in many faiths, we see that there's a deal with hair. Why is it so symbolic?
I think throughout history, hair has symbolized masculinity, virility, but specifically in this story, I think there's something quite interesting if you look at it from a psychological or psychoanalytical perspective. We could look at this from a Freudian perspective, this story, where Delilah cuts his hair, and it kind of has this link to castration anxiety, I would say. It's kind of a different direction to take it in. If you look at it, hair as a symbol of virility, then the cutting of the hair is taking away that masculine virility. But as you mentioned, in other cultures, they do have this importance and this significance of hair, like the Rastafarians, for instance. They also don't cut their hair. They hold Rastas, these long dreadlocks. They took that from Judaism. The Nazarites, for instance, we don't have Nazarites anymore, but the Nazarites were in Judaism men who would dedicate themselves to God, and they would not be able to cut their hair or drink alcohol or get anywhere near corpses, for instance. Mm-hmm. So you have many different kinds of...
Or monks in Christianity as well, but then it's the other way around, I think.
That's right, but monks can cut their hair, from
exactly.
what I know. Yeah.
They should, I think, in some cases. And I mentioned earlier that Samson is the biblical Hercules. What is Delilah then?
I think Delilah is really kind of a stereotype of a femme fatale, this seductress who lures men with her beauty and then betrays them. So we have different kinds of femme fatales in the Bible. You have Jezebel, you have Salome with Herod. You have many different kinds, but I think it's also interesting to note that Delilah in Hebrew comes from the word night, Lila,
right.
And Samson comes from the word Shemesh, which is sun. So in many ways,
thought about it before, Maya.
Yeah, there's this allegorical kind of balance between night and sun. So the man represents day or sun, which is a very traditional role, and the woman represents night.
Maya, thank you so much for this insight, and we're taking a